John and Maria had been planning this weekend trip for months. Their busy lives in the city left little room for rest. Work deadlines, traffic, and endless meetings drained their energy. So when they finally booked a small cabin in Pinewood Valley, both felt a wave of relief. The cabin was tucked into a quiet forest surrounded by tall pine trees. The air smelled fresh and clean, and the only sounds were birds singing and leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. The cabin itself was simple but cozy. It had a small porch, a fireplace, and large windows that looked out onto the forest. Inside, the wooden floors creaked slightly when they walked, adding a comforting feeling of warmth and charm. John unpacked the bags while Maria arranged some snacks on the small table. She had brought sandwiches, fruits, and cookies they could enjoy later. "I can already feel the stress leaving me," Maria said, stretching her arms. Her brown hair fell softly over her shoulders and her eyes sparkled with excitement. John smiled. "This is exactly what we needed. No phones, no emails, just peace." After settling in, they decided to take a short walk around the cabin. The forest path was narrow, lined with wildflowers and small bushes. Birds flew from tree to tree singing melodious tunes. A small stream ran nearby, and the water glistened in the afternoon sun. John and Maria held hands, feeling a sense of calm wash over them. "This place is beautiful," John said. "I wish we could stay here forever." Maria laughed softly. "We can always come back. It is not too far from the city." As they walked, they noticed small signs of life around the forest. Squirrels darted from tree to tree, and a few deer grazed in the distance. The air smelled earthy and clean, unlike the smoke and dust of the city. Maria picked a small flower from the path and tucked it behind her ear. They returned to the cabin just as the sun began to set. The sky was painted in shades of orange, pink, and purple. They sat on the porch sipping tea from small mugs. John had brought a small thermos with hot tea, which warmed them against the slightly cool evening air. "This is perfect," Maria said. "I feel like we are in another world." John nodded. "Exactly. No noise, no stress, just us and nature." They sat quietly for a while, enjoying the view. The forest seemed calm and welcoming. A soft wind moved through the trees, making the branches sway gently. John wrapped his arm around Maria, and she leaned her head on his shoulder. As night approached, the forest changed. The sounds of birds faded, replaced by the soft croaks of frogs and the occasional rustle of small animals moving through the underbrush. The sky darkened and stars began to appear one by one. The night felt magical, and both of them were mesmerized by the beauty above. Suddenly, a sound broke the calm. The quiet crunch of tires on gravel echoed through the forest. John and Maria both froze. The cabin was on a small dirt road, but it was rare for anyone to come by at this time. "Who could that be?" Maria whispered. John set down his mug and peered through the window. In the dim light, he saw two men walking toward the cabin. They wore dark jackets and looked serious. Both carried small badges that glinted in the fading sunlight. John felt a twinge of unease. "They don't look like tourists," he murmured. The men reached the porch. One stepped forward, raising his badge slightly. "Sir, ma'am," he said in a firm voice. "We need to speak with you about a violation." Maria frowned. Something about the way they spoke did not feel right. Their badges looked official from a distance, but their manner seemed too aggressive and rushed. She stood up, placing herself slightly in front of John. "What kind of violation?" John asked cautiously. "We haven't done anything wrong." The man's expression remained serious. "We have received reports regarding illegal construction on this property. You must comply immediately." Maria felt a chill run down her spine. Illegal construction? They had rented the cabin legally for the weekend. Nothing they did could be illegal. She noticed the other man moving closer, his hand near the pocket of his jacket. "Sir, step back," Maria said firmly. "Please show proper identification. You cannot enter the property without it." The first man hesitated. He showed the badge more clearly, but Maria could see it was poorly made. The gold color was dull, and the letters were slightly smudged. John noticed it too. "They are fake," John whispered to Maria. Maria nodded subtly. She had worked in federal law enforcement for several years before moving into administrative work. Her training had taught her to notice small details, and now everything about these men seemed wrong. Their stance, the way they spoke, their fake badges. All signs of trouble. "Do not come any closer," Maria said, her voice steady but commanding. "You are not authorized to enter this property. Please leave." The man laughed nervously. "We are authorized. Step aside or we will take action." John instinctively moved in front of Maria, holding the cabin door handle firmly. "We are not stepping aside. Show us real identification or leave immediately." The two men exchanged a glance. Their confidence wavered slightly. Maria noticed one of them whispering to the other, but she could not hear the words. Their voices were hurried, almost panicked. Maria remained calm. She took a deep breath and kept her eyes on the men. Her experience had taught her that confidence and authority could stop threats before they escalated. She did not need to raise her voice, only to show that she was in control. "Step back," she said again. "You have no authority here. Any attempt to enter will be considered trespassing." The men paused. Their fake badges no longer seemed important. Maria's calm demeanor and firm voice created an invisible barrier that neither could cross easily. John glanced at Maria, his heart racing. He knew she could handle herself, but he also knew the danger could escalate quickly if the men did not leave. "I think they will leave," he whispered. Maria did not respond immediately. She kept her focus on the men, her stance firm and unshakable. Every second that passed increased the tension. The forest, which had been so peaceful moments ago, now seemed to hold its breath. The first man finally muttered, "We will come back later." But Maria's eyes stayed fixed on him. She could see the hesitation and fear in his eyes. "Leave now," she said calmly. "You are trespassing. Any further action will have serious consequences." The men looked at each other again, then slowly backed away. John exhaled, relief washing over him as they walked toward their vehicle. The engine started and dust rose as they drove down the gravel road, disappearing into the forest. John turned to Maria. "That was intense," he said, shaking his head. Maria nodded, a small smile appearing on her face. "Always trust your instincts," she said. "I knew something was wrong. Now we are safe and we can finally enjoy the weekend." The rest of the evening passed quietly. They locked the cabin doors and windows, checked their surroundings, and then returned to the porch. The night sky was clear and the stars shone brightly. John and Maria sipped tea once again, enjoying the calm after the unexpected tension. "This is what I call a real adventure," John said with a soft laugh. Maria smiled. "The forest is peaceful, but it also teaches us to stay alert. That is a lesson for life." They sat together, watching the forest under the moonlight, feeling grateful for the quiet, safety, and for each other. The weekend had just begun, and they hoped it would stay peaceful. But both knew that sometimes unexpected challenges could arrive even in the most serene places. The next morning, the forest around the cabin looked calm and inviting. Sunlight streamed through the pine trees, creating golden patches on the forest floor. Birds sang cheerfully, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of pine and fresh earth. John and Maria stepped out onto the porch, enjoying the peaceful start to their day. "This morning feels perfect," Maria said, taking a deep breath. "No stress, no interruptions," John nodded, looking around. "Yes, but I can't stop thinking about yesterday." Those men felt off. Their badges looked real at first, but everything else about them was wrong. Maria agreed. "I noticed it too. Real officers follow clear procedures. They rushed, they acted aggressively, and their identification was fake. Something tells me they were trying to scare us." John frowned. "But why? Who would try something like that in the middle of nowhere?" Maria shrugged. "Sometimes people think they can act without consequences. They assume no one will check their authority." She paused. "We were lucky I was prepared yesterday." After breakfast, John suggested a short walk to clear their minds. They followed a small trail leading deeper into the forest. The trees towered above them and sunlight dappled the path. For a while, the forest was serene, as if nothing unusual had happened. "You know," John said, "I feel a little guilty. I should have taken the first warning more seriously. I just thought they were some kind of pranksters." Maria smiled faintly. We both stayed calm. That is what mattered. Confidence and calmness can stop threats before they escalate. As they walked, Maria scanned the surroundings carefully. The forest, while peaceful, could hide dangers. Fallen branches, uneven paths, and wildlife required attention. She noticed a few footprints near the cabin, leading toward the road. They were not large, but the impressions were deep enough to suggest someone had been there recently. John noticed her expression. "What is it?" "Footprints," she said softly. "Someone walked near the cabin early this morning. I think it might be the same men from yesterday." John's eyes widened. "They came back?" Maria nodded. It is possible. We need to stay cautious but not panic. If they try anything again, we will handle it carefully. They returned to the cabin and double-checked all the locks. Maria also made sure their phones were charged and ready in case they needed to call for help. Although the men had left quickly yesterday, Maria knew that overconfidence could lead to mistakes. Around noon, they heard a soft knock on the door. John instinctively moved toward it but stopped when he saw Maria's calm expression. "Stay behind me," she whispered. John did as told, and Maria slowly opened the door. Outside stood a young man in a plain uniform holding a clipboard. "Hello," he said politely. "I am from the property management office. We received a report about your cabin." Maria examined him carefully. His uniform looked official, but something seemed different from real law enforcement. She kept her tone neutral. "What kind of report?" The young man glanced at his clipboard. There was a complaint about noise and property use. "We need to verify information and ensure compliance," John frowned. "We have rented the cabin legally. We are not causing any problems," Maria nodded. "Please show your identification and credentials before entering." The young man hesitated, glancing at the forest behind them. His behavior reminded Maria of the previous day. Confidence faltered slightly. She knew that genuine officers or property managers would not hesitate to show their ID. "I can wait here while you check," Maria said firmly. "Do not attempt to enter without proper authorization." The man mumbled something about needing permission and quickly left. Maria watched him go, noticing the way he glanced over his shoulder nervously. "They are testing us," she said quietly. "They want to see if we are afraid." John nodded. "It is strange. Why bother with all this? We are just staying here for the weekend." Maria considered it. People sometimes try to intimidate others to gain power or control. Yesterday they wanted us to panic. Today they might be checking our response. They will not act if they think we are alert and confident. After lunch, John suggested they explore a small lake near the forest. The path led them through thick trees and over soft moss. The lake was calm, with water reflecting the blue sky. Ducks swam gently and a few fish created ripples near the edge. "This is amazing," John said, skipping a small stone across the water. Maria smiled. "Nature always has a way of making us feel small and peaceful at the same time. But we must stay aware. The forest is beautiful, but it can hide people and surprises." As they walked back to the cabin, Maria noticed more footprints along the trail. They were similar to the ones near the cabin. "Someone has been following the path," she said. "Not close, but nearby. It is important we stay cautious." John felt uneasy. "Do you think they are the same men from yesterday?" Maria nodded. "It is possible. But we are prepared. Confidence and calmness will protect us. We will not let fear control our actions." Back at the cabin, Maria suggested they review security measures. They checked the doors, windows, and even small gaps that someone could use to enter. John brought out a small flashlight and Maria carefully inspected every corner. "I feel better knowing we have covered everything," John said. Maria nodded. "Preparation is the key. If anyone tries to act against us, they will face a confident and alert response. That is the best way to protect ourselves." As evening approached, John and Maria decided to cook dinner. The cabin had a small stove, and they prepared simple food together. The process of cooking distracted them from the tension of the day. They laughed and joked, enjoying each other's company. After dinner, they stepped outside again. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the forest. They could hear the soft call of owls and the distant rustle of small animals. The forest felt alive and comforting. Maria looked toward the edge of the forest, her eyes scanning carefully. "We must not let our guard down," she said softly. "Even in calm moments, vigilance is important." John reached for her hand. "I trust you. Your experience and calmness give me confidence. I feel safe with you." Maria smiled. "Confidence is a powerful tool. Fear can make people act irrationally. We stay calm, and we control the situation, not the other way around." Later, as they prepared for bed, they heard a faint sound on the gravel road near the cabin. It was quiet and almost easy to ignore, but Maria noticed it immediately. Footsteps. Someone was approaching. John tensed. "Do we confront them?" Maria shook her head. "Not yet. We observe first. Understanding who they are and their intentions is important. Acting too soon can escalate things." They moved quietly to the window, careful not to make noise. Outside, they could see two figures approaching. They were wearing dark jackets similar to the ones from yesterday. but it was difficult to tell more in the dim light. John's heart raced. "It is them," he whispered. Maria nodded calmly. "Yes, but we are ready. Confidence and preparation are on our side. We will handle this carefully." They stayed by the window, watching as the figures stopped near the edge of the property. The men whispered to each other, glancing around nervously. Their fake authority and hesitation were clear. Maria's instincts told her they were waiting to see how John and Maria would respond. John exhaled slowly. "They will not know what hit them," he said with a small laugh, trying to ease his own nerves. Maria smiled faintly. "Stay calm, observe, wait for the right moment." Confidence and knowledge are stronger than fear or threats. The night deepened and the forest became quieter again. The men finally stepped back and retreated toward the road, their voices low and hurried. John and Maria waited until they were gone, making sure the cabin was secure before returning to their room. As they lay in bed, John whispered, "I never thought a weekend in the forest could be so tense." Maria chuckled softly. "Adventure is everywhere. Even in calm places, challenges appear. But with calmness, preparation, and confidence, we can face anything." They drifted to sleep, knowing that the forest was peaceful, but aware that the weekend was far from over. The events of the day had shown them that vigilance and calmness could protect them, even against unexpected threats. The next morning, the forest was bathed in soft golden light. Sunlight filtered through the tall pine trees, creating a warm glow on the forest floor. Birds sang energetically, as if nothing unusual had happened over the past 2 days. But John and Maria felt the tension from yesterday still lingering. Their nerves were on edge even though they tried to enjoy the beauty around them. "We need to stay alert today," Maria said, sipping her tea. "Those men could return at any time and we must be ready to respond calmly." John nodded, though he tried to hide his unease. "I know. It is just hard to believe someone would act this way in such a quiet place." Maria glanced at him. "People sometimes take risks because they think no one will stop them. Yesterday showed us that confidence can prevent escalation. Today we need to reinforce our awareness." After breakfast, Maria suggested they stay close to the cabin and review their surroundings. John agreed, carrying a small flashlight and a pocket knife just in case. They walked along the perimeter of the property, observing the forest carefully. Every rustle of leaves and distant bird call caught their attention, but Maria remained calm. She had learned to notice the difference between natural sounds and potential threats. As they rounded the back of the cabin, Maria paused. "Footprints," she said softly. She pointed to impressions in the soft soil. The prints were deeper than usual, suggesting heavier steps, and they led directly toward the cabin. John's heart skipped a beat. "They are back?" Maria shook her head slightly. "Maybe, but stay calm. Observe first. Acting impulsively can create problems. Confidence and caution will protect us." They returned to the cabin and secured all doors and windows once again. Maria also checked a small emergency whistle she carried on a keychain. John adjusted the locks and moved some furniture near the doors for added security. Every small precaution made them feel slightly safer, but the tension remained. Around late morning, they heard a car approaching along the gravel road. John froze and looked at Maria. She did not panic, but quietly signaled him to stay back. The vehicle stopped at the edge of the property. 2 men stepped out. Their jackets were dark and they moved with purpose. One of them held a folder while the other had a small badge clipped to his jacket. The way they walked and spoke gave a false sense of authority. John clenched his fists. "They are here to intimidate us," he whispered. Maria nodded calmly. "Yes, but we are ready. Confidence and preparation are key. Do not react impulsively. Observe and wait." The men approached the cabin porch. One of them raised his badge and spoke loudly. "Step aside. We are authorized to inspect this property. Failure to comply will have consequences." Maria remained calm. She moved slightly in front of John, her posture firm and unyielding. "Stop right there," she said clearly. "You have no authority here. Identify yourselves properly and leave the property immediately." The men exchanged glances, their confident expressions faltering slightly. They had expected the same reaction as yesterday, hesitation or fear. Maria's calm demeanor challenged their assumptions. The first man stepped forward, trying to sound assertive. "We are officers. You must cooperate. We have authority to act now." Maria's eyes narrowed. She reached inside her jacket and pulled out her real federal badge. She held it up, letting the sunlight reflect off it. "I am a federal officer. You are not authorized to enter this property. Any attempt to proceed will be considered trespassing." The two men froze. Their confident steps faltered, and they looked at each other nervously. Their badges and uniforms now seemed meaningless. They had not anticipated anyone at the cabin having genuine authority. John felt a wave of relief, though he kept his stance firm behind Maria. "That should stop them," he whispered. Maria did not relax. She maintained her posture, her voice calm but authoritative. "Leave now. Return to your vehicle. Any further attempts to intimidate or trespass will result in serious consequences." "You have been warned." The men hesitated, glancing at the forest around them. It was clear they were weighing their options. Their attempt to assert power had failed, and Maria's confidence left them unsure of what to do next. One of the men muttered something under his breath, then stepped back slowly. "We will come back later," he said. His voice lacked the certainty he had shown before. Maria shook her head slightly. "Do not return." "Leave now." The men looked at each other again, then moved toward their vehicle. Dust rose from the gravel road as they drove away, leaving a faint trail behind. Maria watched until they disappeared into the forest, ensuring they were gone before she spoke. John exhaled slowly, his heart still racing. "I can't believe it. They actually tried to push us again." Maria smiled faintly, though her eyes remained vigilant. People often test limits. Yesterday they were confident we would panic. Today they discovered they were wrong. Confidence and preparation prevented escalation. John glanced around the forest. The air felt lighter now, but he could not shake a lingering sense of caution. "Do you think they will come back again?" Maria considered the question. "It is possible, but they will be more cautious now. They saw real authority and realize they cannot intimidate us. We must remain vigilant, but confidence has already protected us twice." They spent the afternoon carefully observing their surroundings. Every small noise, from rustling leaves to distant bird calls, was noted, but neither allowed fear to take over. They used the time to relax and enjoy the forest, reading books and sharing stories. The tension from the confrontation made each peaceful moment feel more precious. As evening approached, the forest took on a different character. Shadows grew longer and the sky changed colors as the sun set. The beauty of the scene contrasted sharply with the recent events, reminding John and Maria that danger could appear anywhere, even in serene places. Maria suggested preparing a small signal system. They tied a thin rope between two trees near the cabin, with a small bell that would ring if someone approached. John helped, appreciating Maria's foresight. "This will give us extra time if they try to return," he said. "Exactly," Maria replied. "Preparation prevents panic. Awareness prevents mistakes. Confidence ensures proper action." Later they sat on the porch watching the stars appear one by one. The forest was calm and the gentle sounds of nature filled the night. John relaxed slightly, feeling grateful for Maria's experience and composure. "You know," he said quietly, "I never thought a weekend in the forest could be so tense, but I am learning a lot from you." Maria smiled softly. "Confidence and calmness can protect anyone. Fear can make people act irrationally. The important thing is to observe, assess, and respond thoughtfully." Suddenly, a faint sound came from the gravel road again. The bell they had set up did not ring, suggesting the footsteps were light or careful. Maria stood, motioning for John to stay back. "Observe first," she whispered. "We do not know if they are coming back, or if it is just someone walking by. Acting too soon can cause problems." Through the trees, they could see two figures moving slowly. Their posture suggested caution, but their intent was unclear. Maria studied them carefully, noting small details about their clothing and behavior. Confidence had stopped them before, but she needed to ensure they did not escalate the situation. John held his breath. "It is them again," he murmured. Maria remained calm. "Yes, but we are ready. Confidence, calmness, and preparedness will protect us. We will act if necessary, but only when the time is right." The men stopped at the edge of the property, whispering to each other. They had learned from the previous encounters, but Maria's calm authority prevented them from acting boldly. She watched them carefully, ready to take the next step if they attempted anything aggressive. After a few tense minutes, the figures finally retreated again, walking slowly toward their vehicle. Maria kept her focus until they drove away, dust rising from the road. John exhaled and smiled slightly. They are gone. I hope this is the last time, Maria nodded. They may return, but each encounter strengthens our preparedness. Confidence is stronger than fear, and calm observation prevents mistakes. We have handled this well. That night they sat together on the porch sipping tea and listening to the peaceful forest. Stars shone above and the gentle wind carried the scent of pine and earth. The previous tension now felt like a distant memory, though they remained vigilant. Even in calm places, challenges can appear, Maria said softly. But calmness and confidence turn threats into manageable situations. That is the lesson of the day. John held her hand, feeling safe and reassured. I trust you completely. With you, I feel prepared for anything. Maria smiled faintly. Preparation and calmness always protect those who act wisely. Fear has no power when confidence guides action. They watched the stars until sleep came, feeling secure in the knowledge that vigilance, calmness, and confidence could overcome any unexpected challenge. The forest remained peaceful, but they were ready for whatever might come next. The morning sun rose slowly over Pinewood Valley, casting long golden streaks through the tall pines. Birds sang cheerfully, and the forest seemed calm and inviting. John and Maria sat on the porch, sipping warm tea, trying to shake off the lingering tension from the previous encounters. Do you think they will try again today? John asked quietly. Maria shook her head slightly. It is possible, but we are prepared. Yesterday and last night showed us that confidence and calmness stop threats. We must stay alert and continue observing. After breakfast, they decided to explore the area near the small lake again. The path led through thick pine trees, over moss-covered ground, and past scattered rocks. Sunlight streamed through the branches, creating sparkling patterns on the forest floor. The lake was calm, reflecting the blue sky and green canopy above. Ducks glided across the surface, leaving gentle ripples behind. This place is incredible, John said, tossing a small stone into the water. The stone skipped once, twice, and then sank. Maria smiled faintly. Yes, nature is always calming, but we must remain cautious. Even in peaceful places, surprises can appear. They returned to the cabin in the early afternoon. Maria suggested reviewing the perimeter again, checking all doors, windows, and possible entry points. John helped move a few chairs to block the porch more securely, and double-checked the locks. Maria also set up a small system with reflective markers to detect movement near the property. Preparedness gives peace of mind, Maria said. We cannot prevent everything, but we can control our response. Around mid-afternoon, a faint sound reached their ears. The gravel road outside the cabin crunched under tires. Both froze. Maria moved silently to the window, John following behind her. Through the trees, they could see a dark vehicle approaching slowly. Two men stepped out, dressed in dark jackets similar to the previous encounters. One carried a small folder while the other held a badge. Their confidence seemed stronger, as if they had learned from the earlier retreats. They are back, John whispered, tension rising in his voice. Maria nodded calmly. Yes, but we remain composed. Observation and confidence are key. Do not panic. We will respond strategically. The men walked toward the cabin with deliberate steps. The first man spoke in a firm voice. We are authorized to inspect this property. Step aside and cooperate. Maria stood tall, placing herself slightly in front of John. Her posture was calm, yet authoritative. Stop. You are not authorized to enter this property. Show proper identification immediately. Any attempt to enter will be considered trespassing. The men hesitated, their confident expressions faltering slightly. They had expected hesitation or fear, but Maria's calm presence removed their advantage. One of them stepped forward, trying to assert authority. We have official power. Compliance is mandatory. Maria's eyes narrowed. She reached inside her jacket and pulled out her federal badge once more. The sunlight reflected off it brightly. I am a federal officer. You have no authority here. Step back and leave immediately. Any further attempts will have serious consequences. The two men froze. Their previous confidence wavered as they glanced at each other nervously. Their fake authority meant nothing in front of Maria's real credentials. John felt relief washing over him, but he remained behind her, ready to act if necessary. The first man muttered something under his breath. "We will come back later," he said, his voice uncertain. Maria shook her head slightly. "Leave now. Return to your vehicle. You are trespassing." The men hesitated again, then slowly moved toward their vehicle. Dust rose from the gravel road as they drove away, leaving a faint trail behind. Maria watched them until they were out of sight, ensuring they could not see her movements before she finally relaxed slightly. John exhaled, his heart pounding. "I cannot believe they tried again, twice in one day." Maria nodded, her expression calm. "They are persistent, but overconfidence is dangerous. Each time they return, they discover they cannot intimidate us. Confidence and preparation protect us better than anything else." After the men left, Maria and John spent the afternoon reviewing their plans. They reinforced the cabin's security and made a note of all unusual activity. John helped move a few chairs near the windows to create small barriers, while Maria placed reflective markers near the edges of the property to detect movement. "You know," John said quietly, "I never thought a cabin in the forest could become such a challenge." Maria smiled faintly. "Peaceful places can be deceptive. Even serenity can hide threats, but confidence, vigilance, and calmness make any situation manageable." As evening fell, the forest turned quiet once more. Shadows grew long and the sky painted itself in orange and purple hues. They prepared a simple dinner and then stepped outside to watch the sunset. The forest looked beautiful, almost magical, yet the memory of the day's events remained in their minds. Suddenly, a faint noise reached their ears. It came from the gravel road again. Maria's eyes narrowed. "Footsteps," she whispered. "Someone is approaching carefully. Stay calm." John held his breath. "Is it them?" Maria nodded. "It is possible. Observe first. Do not react until necessary." Through the trees, they could see two figures walking slowly. Their posture suggested caution, but their intent remained unclear. Maria studied them carefully. She noticed their hesitation, the way they whispered to each other, and how they looked around nervously. Confidence had stopped them before, and her calm authority now kept them uncertain. The men stopped near the cabin, whispering to each other. Maria's gaze remained steady. She did not move hastily, but her presence alone seemed to make the men reconsider their next steps. After a tense few minutes, the men finally began to retreat slowly, walking back toward their vehicle. Maria continued observing until they drove away again, dust rising from the gravel road. John exhaled, his shoulders relaxing. "They are gone." "I hope this is the last time." Maria nodded. "They may return, but each encounter strengthens our preparation. Confidence and calmness are stronger than fear. Vigilance prevents mistakes." They spent the rest of the evening on the porch, sipping tea and listening to the peaceful forest. Stars appeared one by one in the clear sky, and the gentle rustle of pine needles filled the air. John felt a growing sense of safety knowing Maria's experience and calm demeanor could handle any situation. "You know," he said softly, "even in calm places, challenges can appear unexpectedly." Maria smiled. "Yes, but calmness, preparation, and confidence turn challenges into manageable situations. Fear has no power when it meets knowledge and authority." They sat together, watching the stars and listening to the night sounds of the forest. The previous tension now felt like a distant memory, yet they remained vigilant. The weekend was far from over, and they knew that being prepared and confident would protect them from anything unexpected. As they prepared for bed, Maria whispered, "Confidence is a shield. Calmness is a weapon. Knowledge is the map that guides you safely through challenges." John held her hand, feeling reassured. "With you, I feel ready for anything. I have learned so much from your calmness and experience." Maria smiled softly. Preparation, awareness, and calm confidence are the most powerful tools anyone can have. Threats lose their power when met with knowledge and calm action. That night, as they fell asleep, the forest remained peaceful, and the cabin quiet. But both John and Maria knew that vigilance was a continuous responsibility. They were ready for whatever might come next, confident in their ability to respond calmly and effectively. The next morning, the forest was bathed in soft light. The birds chirped energetically, and the gentle breeze moved through the tall pine trees. John and Maria felt a cautious sense of relief. After the repeated encounters with the fake officers, the quiet morning felt like a gift. "Do you think they will return today?" John asked quietly as he poured tea into 2 mugs. Maria shook her head slightly. "I do not think so. They realize that confidence and preparation protect us. They cannot intimidate someone who is calm and knowledgeable, but we remain cautious." They decided to spend the morning preparing for a longer hike along a trail that led deeper into the forest. John packed a small backpack with snacks, water, and a flashlight. Maria carried a small map of the area, a whistle, and her badge securely tucked in her jacket. She taught John a few simple ways to stay alert in the forest while remaining calm. "Observation is key," she said. "Notice sounds, footprints, and movements. Stay composed. Panic only creates mistakes." John nodded, absorbing her advice. "I understand. Calmness and preparation make us safer." As they walked along the trail, the forest felt alive. Sunlight sparkled on leaves, and a small stream ran beside the path. Birds flew overhead, calling to each other. The forest seemed welcoming, but John and Maria kept their senses sharp. "You know," John said, "I feel stronger knowing we can handle challenges together." Maria smiled. "Confidence is not just about facing others. It is about trusting your skills, knowledge, and preparation. Together, we are ready for anything." They reached a clearing where the trail split into 2 paths. The left path led to a small hill with a view of the valley, while the right path led to a denser part of the forest. They paused, looking at the 2 options. "Which way should we go?" John asked. Maria studied the map carefully. "The hill will give us a better view. It will also let us see if anyone is approaching from the road or near the cabin. Awareness is always helpful." They took the left path. The climb was gentle but steady. The forest opened up gradually, allowing sunlight to pour through the branches. Birds sang from the trees above, and the occasional squirrel darted across the path. When they reached the top of the hill, the view was breathtaking. The valley stretched out below, and the small lake near the cabin glistened like a blue gem. John and Maria took a moment to enjoy the scenery, feeling a sense of peace despite the tension of the past days. "This is incredible," John said. "I can see why people come here to escape the city." Maria nodded. "Nature has a way of healing and calming the mind. But it also teaches lessons about vigilance and awareness. Even in beauty, preparation is important." As they rested, Maria noticed something unusual near the edge of the forest. A vehicle moved slowly along the gravel road, stopping briefly and then moving again. John followed her gaze. "It is them," he whispered. Maria remained calm. "Yes, but we are prepared. Confidence and calm observation will guide our response." They observed the vehicle carefully. The men inside seemed uncertain. Glancing toward the cabin and the trail they had taken, Maria's presence and calm authority had prevented them from acting boldly before. Now from the hilltop she could assess their actions without being noticed. "They are trying to decide what to do," Maria said softly. "We do not need to act yet. Observation first. Confidence controls the situation." John nodded. "I trust you. Your experience gives me confidence too." The men in the vehicle muttered to each other and then drove away slowly, disappearing down the gravel road. Maria and John waited until the dust settled and the vehicle was out of sight before descending the hill. Back at the cabin, they secured the doors and windows again and sat on the porch with warm tea. The forest was quiet, filled with the peaceful sounds of birds and wind moving through the trees. John took a deep breath. "I cannot believe this is finally over." Maria smiled faintly. "It may be over for now, but each encounter taught us something important. Confidence, calmness, and preparation are stronger than fear or intimidation. Knowledge and vigilance guide safe decisions." They spent the rest of the afternoon relaxing. John read a book while Maria organized the cabin and made notes about their experiences. The repeated encounters with the fake officers had been stressful, but they had learned valuable lessons about observation, preparation, and calm authority. As the evening approached, the forest transformed with the setting sun. Golden light filtered through the trees and shadows stretched across the ground. John and Maria cooked a simple dinner together. The process was comforting, bringing back a sense of normalcy after the tension of the past days. After dinner, they stepped outside to watch the sunset from the porch. The sky turned orange, pink, and purple, casting a peaceful glow over the forest. John took Maria's hand. "We made it through. Thanks to you, I felt safe the entire time." Maria smiled. "Confidence and calmness create safety. Preparation ensures it. Fear has no power when faced with knowledge and calm action." As darkness settled, the stars appeared one by one in the clear night sky. The gentle sound of the wind in the trees and the distant call of an owl filled the air. John and Maria sat together quietly, appreciating the beauty and peace of the forest. "Do you think anyone will return?" John asked softly. Maria shook her head. "I doubt it. They learned their lesson. They discovered that authority without truth and confidence is meaningless. We handled the situation well, but we remain aware, as always." John nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. This weekend became an unexpected lesson.
"I learned more about confidence, calmness, and preparation than I ever imagined." Maria smiled faintly.
Peaceful places can hide challenges, but calm observation and preparation overcome any threat. That is the true lesson of these days. They spent the remainder of the night on the porch, sipping tea and listening to the peaceful forest. The tension from previous encounters had passed, leaving only calm and satisfaction. The forest seemed alive yet safe. As they prepared for bed, John whispered, "I feel stronger knowing we can handle challenges together." "Your calmness and confidence are inspiring." Maria smiled softly. "Confidence, vigilance, and preparation guide safe decisions. Knowledge removes fear. Calmness protects those who act wisely." They fell asleep feeling secure, knowing the forest was peaceful and that they were ready for anything unexpected. The cabin, once a place of tension, had become a sanctuary where vigilance, calm authority, and preparation ensured safety. The weekend passed quietly after that. John and Maria explored the forest, enjoyed the lake, and shared stories. The encounters with the fake officers became a story they would remember carefully, always reflecting on the lessons learned. When it was time to leave, they packed their belongings and locked the cabin securely. As they drove away, the forest stretched behind them, calm and inviting. John glanced at Maria. "I feel like we grew stronger through this experience." Maria nodded. Challenges reveal strength and teach lessons. Calmness, confidence, and preparation are the most important tools anyone can have. That knowledge stays with us forever. The forest disappeared behind them as they drove back to the city, but the lessons remained clear in their minds. Confidence, vigilance, and calm authority had transformed potential danger into a manageable situation. The weekend, though filled with unexpected tension, ended as a story of courage, preparation, and the power of calm observation.